So, hello everyone. My name is Klil Nevo. I think you've seen me in emails and invitations and probably some posts. I lead the community, the Learning Table community at Juno Journey. I'll take 5 minutes, no more than 5 minutes, to share a little bit about the community and Juno, and then we'll jump right into our session with Shlomit. So let's see if I'm able to. Yes. No? Yes. Okay, perfect. So the Learning Table community is a global community from US to Europe and more that was founded about a year and a half ago. And we basically are very, very proud to serve our community members with four main activities. Our online webinars and workshops, just like the one you're participating in now. And there's so much more all the time. With some actual face-to-face meetings and sessions in main cities. In 2 weeks, we're in Berlin. Gonna freeze with you guys. And we have hubs in the US and Europe, wherever you're from, we'd love to see you there. Exclusive events for senior leaders and a program called Match Made in Heaven, where I get to know what you need and introduce you to some professionals who might support and help you from the community. So whatever can serve you best, you're more than welcome to be part. And all of this goodness is sponsored by Juno Journey. So just in a few words about what we do. Actually, we also support organizations in change management processes, so it's quite relevant. So briefly, as you all know, it's really not a secret. The world is changing all the time, now more than ever. And there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of fear and a lot of changes that need to happen. And in that madness, everyone turns to us, to HR, to L&D leaders, to talent development leaders, to kind of lead the organization through this shift with change management and upskilling and more. And while we all need to focus on the evolving business needs, but we keep being drawn into the operational side. Everyone wants a piece of you. Everyone needs just one more thing from you. And as always, we deliver instead of focusing on what really matters. And truth is, most professionals really spend far more time on operations than on actual impact. And that's the main focus for us at Juno Journey. So we're proud to serve hundreds of leading companies through our two core solutions, our Agent First LMS and our goal-driven development platform, designed to turn business needs into skills. And we do that with a team of L&D agents, giving professionals the space to focus on strategy and impact while we take care of all the heavy operational lift for you. So our team builds courses and training programs, checks knowledge, unlocks hidden expertise, and connects employees' goals to professional development plans. And the very last part that I'll take from your time is to give you a tiny little glimpse into how we do it very, very shortly and briefly. Seeing real agents in action. Okay, perfect. So this is Jaden. He has a few sub-agents who are specializing in different subjects like compliance, onboarding, enablement, and so on. And their job is to turn every knowledge owner to a professional trainer, taking instructions and company context, turning them into a beautiful training, editing videos, creating images, checking, understanding, and automating everything in a click of a button. All of that, of course, with the context of your organization. So that's Jaden in a nutshell. You see, it's very, very brief. And one more agent, just as short as that, so we can, and then we'll start. Next. Yes. Okay. Okay. So we said the world is changing fast, and so are the required skills, knowledge, and tools that our employees really need to master to perform in a way that takes the company forward. Based on your company's business goals and her personal knowledge of each employee's role, skills, and experience, Gemma takes any professional goal and turns it into a step-by-step actionable development plan with both action items and content to support any skill gaps. She also finds the best experts in the company to mentor their journey to success. And that was a very short nutshell into what we do and how we do it. And with that, I thank you for listening, and I'm very proud to introduce you to our speaker. Oh gosh. And now let's talk business. Change management in the era of AI. So, of course, she'll introduce herself better than me in just 1 second, but I do want to say a few words about Shlomit, who I really had the privilege of working with more closely in the last 6 months. Not only is she like ex-CPO of all the top best companies, I think she's one of the people that are more inspiring in her grasp of what AI's impact on organizations and companies and how we as people leaders should really be the ones who lead the transformation and the change forward in their organizations. She's also my kind of gal because she's also building an incredible community. So we have that in common as well. She'll say a few words about it as well. And I'm very excited to learn from you, as always, Shlomit. And I'm going to now move to show your presentation. So give me 1 second.
Thank you. And no pressure at all. I really love it that you create such high expectations, Khalil, which I have to meet. So let's hope that I will actually succeed in doing that.
I'm
Uh,
sure. Before we start, I'll just say, guys, this is like a webinar format, so we can't like see each other and stuff, but there is a Q&A section where any question you wanna like raise, please do. The chat is available for you, and the raise hand is available. So you can stop Shlomit at any moment. You can put your question in. This is all about you. This is challenge accepted. Share your challenges. If someone asks a question and you have something to contribute, please do. This is a very dynamic session, so please like jump in at any moment.
exactly. Let's make it interactive as much as possible. And thanks for sharing your questions in advance. It really helped to shape the content. And what I try to do, I'm going to use several frameworks. Of course, some of it is embedded from experience, some of it from learnings. So really just putting few ideas together that might be helpful. But I think, a lot depends on a word that Khalil also mentioned a few times, context, and your own context in your own organization or in whatever you are doing, because this is where AI works the best. So a little bit about myself. I've been 4 times Chief People Officer, worked across organizations for the last 25 years in different industries, so in tech, consumer tech, SaaS, banking, also in different environments and geographies. And in the last year, or rather in the last 8 months, I've been experimenting, one with some advisory work, working with organizations on things related to operating models, transformation, change, work redesign, AI transformation included, and also going very deep into the AI world. So I love the combination of one and experimenting with AI and seeing how AI actually changes the work that we are doing and bringing it together with knowledge, practical knowledge of managing change and transformations in different organizations. In addition, something that I also learned in the past year by myself, joining some communities, I'm building together with a co-founder a community called Practi that is all about making AI work at work. It's really helping I would say 95% of people that are navigating this world with a lot of questions, trying to figure out what really actually matters, what is important, what is not hype, how to experiment with other people that are solving exactly the same problems. And also talking about some of the things that we will be talking today, change, organization, operating models, etc. So we are in the building mode. There's going to be more details also shared after this call. And also, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you can find more information about the community and how to register. So let's go to the topic of managing change in times of AI. And, I think, one question that comes again and again, why does it feel different now? Or in what way this is really different? And I think, if to sum it up, also based on what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, what I'm experiencing, AI is touching the actual work. So the way to think about AI transformation is really to think about work redesign, which is, by the way, very hard to do, because to really tackle work redesign, you need to understand the work itself. So you need to break down the tasks that people are doing every day. You need to understand the purpose of the job. You need to analyze what can be done better by AI, what can be done better by humans, where actually humans have to be in the lead, to whom you are delegating judgment, if you are delegating judgment, safety, etc. So there are a lot of questions that come with it, and this is why this is different. It's really touching everything that is related to operating models, ways of working, decision making. And this is why we have to treat it like a full-blown transformation, or rather change, than just tool implementation. And I see more and more this conversation about adoption rather than about the work redesign. And you have leaders and also people are asking why this is not working. Well, because actually this is not about tool adoption. This is really about how do we work differently. Not necessarily work elimination or job elimination, which also some conversations are about, but more how can we create space for more meaningful work or do the work differently. So if to think about, if we go to the next, and by the way, just a comment about the formats of the slides, that was built with Gemini. I started with Gamma, actually, so that was the first version, and then taking it to Gemini and ask it to beautify the slides, and this is the result. It's maybe not perfect, but it also, I think, a good demonstration of how AI can now be helpful in just a matter of a few seconds. So when we look at the iceberg problem, this is just a way to think about it. And we're also going to look at the iceberg formula. When you think about AI, there are things that are on the surface and there are things that are below the surface. So what is on the surface? And these are the things that we typically see. It's the co-pilots, the chatbots, the coding tools, the things which are very visible. You can say more the shiny, maybe the fancy stuff of AI, but actually the impact is happening below the surface. It's in the way decisions are made. When you think about today, you are doing a lot of back and forth with AI on actually bringing a topic for a decision making. It's a lot of the work, the transactional work, the administrative work that is either going away or is being transformed with AI. It's the analytics. It's everything that has to do with coordination. We know that AI works very well in the intersections between functions, between departments. So it's a lot of the things which are not necessarily visible. And this is where also judgment is built. So it's a little bit of a paradox, because on one hand, you really want AI to impact these things. But at the same time, especially when you think about management development and leadership development, or the way managers evolve and develop, or anyone in organization, it's through trying things, building your judgment, making mistakes. So this is where, I think also a point to reflect on, especially as HR professionals, is how management development and leadership development is going to look like in the future when we are delegating or de facto using AI in things which are developing and impacting our judgment. So it is a paradox and also to some degree maybe a risk. So one more way to think about it, also using the iceberg formula, if we go to the next slide, is that if you have a question about also, how should I really be planning for AI or redesign work around AI? And we know, by the way, using also this formula, and there is also some research that is done around it, that the potential of below the line is today much greater than what we are even utilizing. So de facto already today, the current AI tools can solve so much more than it's actually solving, because we're going back to the previous point of not really being clear about the work that needs to be done. So very practical way to think about it, which can also help us to manage this judgment perspective, is to split the work between three areas. So everything that is above the line, this is where you have to keep humans at the lead. So things which are related to judgment, ethics, when you need to think about trade-offs, ownership, accountability, when someone actually needs to take accountability for the result, for the outcomes, for the work that needs to be done. This has to be with humans. And we know that a lot of things come from our judgment, from this. I've seen it before. I have a gut feeling about it. I have an intuition. I experienced that. I know the pros and cons. Of course, context can be different, but I have some muscle memory. And this is extremely important and also a little bit scary, because when you think today about, especially the young generation that doesn't have a lot of still lifetime experience or work experience making decisions with AI. We know that, and there was research recently published, very interesting one of BetterUp, which is around work slop. So things that look nice on paper, but has no substance. So we really have to be very intentional about the things that, no matter how much we delegate to AI, we keep them in the hands of humans. And then you have work which is at the line. So you use AI, you're still in the loop as humans, but this is where, it's an augmentation. And this is drafting some papers. I mean, I do a lot of memos together with AI. There's a lot of back and forth, of course, context. I don't necessarily accept everything that I get immediately by AI. But I definitely leverage a lot the AI capability, or where I need to build a presentation or a landing page or something. Yes, I mean, it's clearly very, very helpful to work together with AI to do synthesis, research, etc. And then you have the work that is below the line, which you can easily automate completely to AI. And AI can actually do better job in doing that. And we see more and more capabilities on that coming, if this is in Copilot or this is in Gemini, NotebookLM, whatever you are using, and of course, other tools which are out there, that you can actually delegate a task if you gave AI the right context and data and governance, which are extremely important. This can run with it fully without humans in the loop. So that's the balance that you need to meet when you think about work redesign. And you can see it like, and I think, there was the case recently of ServiceNow. I heard their case study. That's exactly how they approach it. So they took every job in the company and they thought about, okay, what has to stay with humans, where clearly this is an augmentation, and what tasks we can fully delegate to AI. It doesn't mean that you're going to do it tomorrow or you have all the tools, but there is definitely the understanding that that can be done. So if we go to next into mindset and why change breaks, and what is really happening also from what we are seeing around AI. Because there is still some resistance. When there is change, there is always some degree of resistance. And we know that from psychological safety, also studies and the work around that, people are not going to trust something fully when it's not clear who is actually accountable. Is it safe to experiment? What happens when I make mistakes? Am I allowed? So these are the things to get very, very clear about in organizations. So almost like defining the box or the framework on how you experiment with AI. So the containment of that. And it's important to show by example and to show by practice. So this is far beyond the tools, and this is where also HR plays a key role, determine how trust towards AI actually look like. The other thing also, which also came from research done by BetterUp, they call it the pilot mindset. And they looked at people who embrace AI more easy than others, or actually running with it, experimenting, trying, less fearful about it. And there are two main characteristics that are related to this pilot mindset. It's optimism and agency. So agency is really about I'm still in control. So yes, those tools are out there. It's changing my work very clearly, but I'm in the driving seat of how I redesign the work. And it's something that you can cultivate and develop in any organization, this sense of agency. And the second thing is optimism is not just to be completely blinded also to the risks that come with AI, but really to believe that eventually the work will become better. Or again, that I have control over designing the work. So another thing that I want to talk about, which is extremely important, is around AI fluency. Clearly, if we go to the next slide. And this is a framework, which, by the way, I'm more than happy also to share after the call some of the research and the materials around it. The way to think about AI fluency is not like a ladder. I mean, it is a ladder in some sense, but it is more a portfolio. And what I mean by portfolio, not everyone needs to know everything or to be exactly at the same level when it comes to AI. And our work is also to identify in an organization who it needs to be at what level. So if you see, like, the first step is resistance, because I mean today there isn't. I mean, at least I don't believe that there is anything like we never done anything with AI. People use chats, even if it's just to ask a question, or at least came across it. I mean, of course, it's like I don't want to say nobody. Maybe there are some people who never used AI, but typically in organizations, people use it to some degree already today. There is also this thing about shadow AI that people use it on the side, especially if there is no corporate license of some sort. So the worst that can be is that you have people who are using it as work slop. They are using it not understanding what actually the outcomes mean. So taking it, using it, or being very skeptical about it, or not applying any judgment. So typically you don't want people to be at that level. And then when you go up, it depends on what is your role in the organization. So probably, I mean, most of the people are at foundational functional, somewhere there. I would say that's like maybe 70 or 80% of the organization. It means that they are using some sort of a chat. They are creating presentations with AI. There's some augmentation specifically or tools which are AI first, but they are not required to redesign the work. So when you think about advanced and transformative, these are the people in the organization that actually rebuild workflows. So they need to understand, for example, the difference between agents and agentic AI. What is agentic AI? Because agentic AI is when you have several agents talking to each other. So that could redesign the work of your organization. So this is when you're thinking about, okay, these are the customers that we are serving. These are the customers that we will need to serve in the next several years, how the work needs to be redesigned as a result, what is going to be done by AI, what is going to be done by humans, what is going to be done by agents, how the agents are going to connect to each other. So you definitely need people at that level, but this is not the entire organization. So this is also for us challenge in HR to think about when we think about AI development and AI fluency. It's like what is needed for each level and how do you assess where people are. So I want to I want to land it with some specific cases. And in the next slide or page, I want to talk about the HubSpot case. And I think it's a good example of, and I specifically call it make AI boring because that's what they did. They made AI boring. Typically, when you think about AI, it's a lot of hype, tools, agentic AI, all of these big things. But actually, what they did, they said, let's make it a habit. Let's make it something that you use every day to improve your work, to improve your tasks. And these are the 3 steps that they went through. So relief first, AI just helps you to reduce your effort, to increase efficiency. Then you normalize the usage. It becomes a habit. And we know when something becomes a habit, then you repeat it, like the 3 R's, reminders, repetitions, rituals. And then you think about accountability. So only once you really established habit in the organization, you can expect more from people, more ownership around it, etc. And they did it across the entire organization. So top to bottom, which is also extremely important. And what they saw, just to go through a little bit the numbers, 98% of AI usage in the company and 46% productivity increase in the way they measure productivity. So clearly it works for them. Now, again, a lot depends on the context of the organization, where the organization is at. But the key here is really about just make it part of your day-to-day work, not something that you do on the side, not a change like a big transformation project, but something that you embed in your day-to-day tasks and routines. Another framework to think about, and I promise that these are kind of the last two slides, and then we'll open it for questions, is the Leadership Lab line model, which is also extremely important when you are approaching an AI change or changing operating models or transformation or in whatever way you want to call it. It's really important those 3 layers will exist. One is leadership. Leadership always matters. It all starts from the top. We know that, showing by example. And for example, one of the companies that I work with now, I can say that the CEO is so normalizing the work with AI. He can send a document, a memo, and said that was written with ChatGPT, and maybe it's not perfect. But by doing that, he's showing that it's totally okay. It's totally okay to write documents with Chat or Gemini or whatever you are using, that maybe it's not perfect. We're going to iterate on that. This is just one small example, but it starts from the top, showing that you actually working and experimenting with AI. Then really, really important layer. It's called lab, but the way to think about it is very simple. The champions from different functions in the organization that actually scale what works. And we know from the case of Citi, I just shared it yesterday also on LinkedIn, their case study, that that's the thing that made the most change for them, are the champions, because people follow people, people trust people. So you have this group of function champions that first get together, they share information between one another, and then they go and scale what works in their own functions. So this is extremely important. You keep this group connected, you keep them together. They are your change agents. In a way, it's very typical to any change initiative. It's not something, completely mind-blowing or new, but extremely important in times of AI adoption. And then you have the line. So the line is everyone. And I think one thing that is extremely important with AI is that you need to do the change with people and not to people, because they really need to embed it in the work. And we saw it before with HubSpot, their case. Make it part of the routine, and the routine happens in day-to-day work that people are doing. Moreover, they know what needs to be changed the best, the most. They are, whether you are a recruiter or work in HR ops or in marketing or customer support, you know the pain points. And if you give people the tools to experiment and to try, they will actually solve the problems that they are seeing every day. So think about this LLL model. It's a framework, but it's something that really helps to drive adoption. So maybe the last one, just to summarize and bring it all together, what managing change means now. So we said very clearly that this is not about the tools. This is really about changing workflows, operating model, decision-making. Mindset is extremely important. It's continuous. And we didn't touch that a lot, but I think a lot of things which are around trust, governance, extremely also important. So just because I didn't put the highlights on them doesn't mean that they are not also crucial. They are crucial. We talked about leadership. So leadership is extremely important in terms of showcasing it, talking about it, experimenting about it. And it's not an initiative. I think that's really the key. It's not one-off initiative. It's not a program. It's something that you redesign completely together with AI. And I think personally that it's a huge opportunity for HR, for learning teams, for HR teams to be at the front of it, because it's a work redesign and not a technology change. So I think that's it. And now I'm really curious. I saw some of you put some comments, so I'm really curious to hear from you and also to see if you have any questions.
So I have a few people with questions lining up. I think Alexandra will start with you, or Ola, I think.
Hola. Yeah.
So you can now unmute yourself.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my question to Shlomit is in terms of building HR strategies, also leveraging here both your experiences as HR leader and the experiences working on a practical basis with AI and on a transformative basis. How would you approach the case practically? So how would you leverage AI both in terms of content? Which tools would you use? So basically, how would you tackle the case of building an HR strategy in our new reality?
Yeah, I think it's an excellent question. And there are a lot of things that I talked about today, which I will use exactly the same for HR organization. So I think any change for any function goes exactly the same in terms of frameworks. So LLL, making AI boring, the iceberg, exactly the same. So being very clear, if I'm just zooming in into the HR work, and I think there are two dimensions here. HR internally for HR. So how do we transform the work of HR? And how do we lead transformation for the whole organization? So I think that there are two dimensions here. And in terms of HR for HR is looking at the work itself. So what is the job that needs to be done? And it's very much related to the context of the organization. So where the organization is at the moment. What does it mean in terms of growth, transformation, change? Are we scaling? So are we growing in terms of number of customers? Do we need to do more with less overall in the organization? Do we need to transform work of other functions? And typically the answer is probably yes, because it's not just HR that is transforming, but the entire organization. So starts with the context, where the organization is at, what are the biggest problems that need to be solved, and then looking at the work that HR is actually delivering. And when we zoom in into the work that HR is delivering, all the things we talked about here, what has to stay with humans, because experience is extremely important. If I take just hiring, I would definitely want still recruitment, TA, HR to be in the lead of making final decisions when it comes to hiring, because there can be a lot of bias in the system. So we need to be at the front of making decisions. We need to be at the front of also designing the tools to make sure that the tools don't have bias, because it's totally okay to use AI for screening resumes or like the filtering the data, etc. But you need to make sure that the tools are not biased. So things like that, where I would definitely want expertise and knowledge of the HR teams. But then there are things that, you don't need any more people to answer questions from employees. There are things that you can easily move to a chatbot or fully automate. It's anyway work that people don't really enjoy doing. So redesign the work around that, build a function which is also around the problems and the context that we need to solve, and then make sure that there is a lot of capacity to lead the change for the entire organization.
Thank you very much, Shlomit. Thank you for both the macro picture and the example. I think it's like such a deep topic that I would for sure have many other questions, but also giving the space to other participants.
Thank you, but thanks for going first.
Yes, they're very brave. We had a question by Taylor on the QA. So Taylor, I'm going to give you, I know you spent a lot of time writing it, but I think it would be great if you could talk. Yes, introduce your question to everyone. So Taylor, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Or Tyler, sorry. Yes, we can hear you.
No, you got it right. It's Taylor. Thank you.
Okay, perfect.
Shlomo, that was really great. Thank you. It sort of synthesized a lot of the things I've been thinking about. But I think what I'm just going to read what I wrote verbatim, but what I'm really grappling with is how we position this as an enterprise level transformation, because what I'm seeing is sort of more senior leaders, I think, really just see it as tools. They don't see it how there needs to be the fundamental redesign of work and how decisions are made. So, in your opinion, how do we sell that? How do I sell that upwards?
Yeah, no, I fully get it, and I hear more and more this feedback. And I think one thing that can certainly help, bring the data. So there is already so much data. I think the MIT study research, Microsoft, that are talking about why AI transformations fail. As simple as that. And when you say the word fail, there is already fear. You already create a little bit of fear, which is not bad, because it's about you going to invest all these billions, because the investments in AI are tremendous, or millions. I don't know, depends on the size of the organization. It's expensive. So you're going to make all these investments, but you're not going to see change. And the reason why you're not going to see change, because you haven't really redesigned the work. So I would bring data that already proves this point, that already talks about failure and why AI transformations fail. So the data is always very helpful, especially when you talk to leadership teams. Data helps, because it's like you put the numbers out there and you're like 95% of AI transformation fail. Like that's a big number, which also proves the point that most of the organizations are not there. But then you can also bring the case of the 5% who do get it. And what are they doing? And you have these cases. We talked about HubSpot today. We can talk about Zapier, which is another example. I know ServiceNow is quite progressing in that. Moderna, they actually combine IT with HR. Now, I'm not saying that these are perfect examples, and I'm sure that they have their context and their learnings and their failures, but they are clearly approaching it from a work redesign topic. So they are making the moves to move there. So I think data, the cases of where it actually works, bring those frameworks. They help also to think about it. The frameworks we talked about today, it helps to position the topic. And what I would add, extremely important, when you don't have a lot of buy-in into what does actually this whole work redesign means, start small, experiment in one function. Take the HR functions, take the finance function, take marketing, I don't know, whatever makes sense. Take customer support. Actually, Zapier case, they started with customer support, and then they scaled it throughout the organization. And they saw so much change in customer care. So they took one process, one function, experimented there, I think for like over a year. And only when they saw results, they scaled. So I think the key or the importance of experimenting and then building your case based on real internal data is very helpful. Because otherwise people will not understand, like, what do you mean by work redesign? And I know I saw it again and again. This is the hard part. When you start talking about operating model and decision making and change the work, people don't get it. They understand org charts. Give me org charts or like job descriptions or whatever. So it's a different way of thinking. And I think a lot depends on how do you approach it, and starting small, not trying to boil the ocean, especially if there is no full understanding of it yet. But these are just kind of
Thank you.
thoughts. Yes.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you. That's yeah, that sparked a lot of ideas. Back to data as always.
Oh, data.
Thank you.
If anyone from the group has anything they want to add or jump in with your own experience, of course, we would love to hear from you as well. Just do a raise hand. And we already have another question from Daria. So you're allowed to talk, Daria.
Hi. Shlomit, I'm so happy and excited to join you today because, in fact, we're currently, like in 2 weeks, we are launching a program for leaders from support function, or from, as we call it, non-delivery or corporate function, for AI upskilling. And during the design of this workshop, because we considered with our CEO, CIO, what kind of problem, what kind of goal we are following, what we have to address. We figure out that we would like to make it a program not about using AI as a trend, but about how to help them redesign, revision the way their function work in order to provoke increase in productivity. But what is even more important, in order for them to get ready for the cascading of this function, because we think that with AI in 2027, for sure, we will be asked, each of us, HR, financial department, to budget our functions, but at least 30% less, yeah? So, because it will happen in 9 months or something. So, and my question would be, and thank you so much, you suggested a lot during your presentation, but could you maybe highlight the non-tech competencies that are not directly connected to AI, that are enablers for these kind of could be enablers for this kind of program, or that could help people get prepared in transforming their function to be AI-enabled functions?
Yeah, beautiful. So first, congratulations.
Thank you.
It sounds like you already made a lot of the heavy lifting to move ahead with it. So just a couple of thoughts from my side. First, I have to say that using AI, and I'm not a technical person, but embracing myself in AI for the last 6 months changed also my perspective on how technical you need to be. You really don't need to be technical, even to do like coding. With now Cloud Code, or even doing things on Lovable, which is vibe coding, and it's not the only tool. There are others. It's actually makes it so easy. I as a non-developer, I enjoy it so much now that I can take something, put it with AI. Yes, there needs to be some effort. I don't want to say like zero effort, especially if you want to build a workflow or use agentic AI, but it became so easy. But what is really important in terms of mindset, and that takes me to the mindsets that we really have to pay attention to and help people to develop, but also look at it when you're hiring. Curiosity. So you need to stay so curious. It's continuous learning. Even though I've been working in organizations for 25 years, my mantra for life is I'm always learning. I keep on learning. I don't know. I mostly don't know, because that always keeps possibilities for me to learn something new. And with AI, it's just accelerated massively because it's a lot of experimentations. So this curiosity mindset, always be learning, trial and fail. So the creating safe space to try. And we talked before about psychological safety. This is something that has to be there for people actually to feel safe to experiment and learn. I would say these are really, really key things. Beside, of course, we talked about optimism and agency, resilience. Actually, optimism and agency are very much related to resilience. They are one of the things that are building resilience. So mindset. I would really, really pay attention to mindset. Mindset is even more important than experience. Experience is key for judgment. So for some roles or jobs where judgment is key in decision making, because you don't want to get in this work slump. Yeah, I mean, make sure that the experience is there. People done that, been there, learned, build the muscles, and make sure that they have the right mindset. Because without mindset, again, you're going back to the same problems: resistance, cynical approach, disbelief, seen it before. Actually, I have conversations with some leaders and I hear this thing, oh, in what way is it different than the digital transformation or any other tool implementation that we saw in the past 20 years? That already showed me that they're not there, because it's very, very different. It's very different. It's not just the tech. It's actually, it's all not about the tech. And with more and more development of AI, we know it's also becoming very good in its own intuition. Maybe it's a different intuition, but it's its own intuition. Even it's becoming better in becoming more human, which is scary actually. But it's like the development of AI just shows us this is not just like any other technology. So I would really pay attention to mindset when you're hiring people, in development also, in the readiness of people to experiment, try new things, fail. How do they actually learn? How do they extract the right learnings in terms of, okay, I'm going to do it differently next time, etc. So, it's probably not rocket science, but just like I think these are really the most, like the key ingredients in times of AI change.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Amazing. Okay, questions keep on coming. Shlomit, do you need water? And
Fine.
You're good. Perfect. Amy,
good.
you have a great question, Amy. I loved it. Please share it with all of us.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep. Hi, I'm Amy. I'm from Boston, freezing over here. So my question is, I was recently asked if we were to approach a big transformation like this, what framework or model would we use? Galbraith or the big STAR model, or those that are coming out of McKinsey. And for me, they seem helpful and informative, but not contemporary enough to keep up with that concept of changing and evolution and org redesign or work redesign in the flow of work. So I wonder if you have any opinions about which one would be most practical to apply, because I know that they're looking for a very specific book smart response. And I'm a little tongue in cheek, right? But they want to see what the process will be.
And if I can just ask a clarifying question, Amy. So what is the biggest problem that they're trying to solve with the framework?
Right now, they're to look at, are the people who are at the VP level operating at the way that they should be looking at and operating? So thinking 12 to 24 months ahead, are they really stepping into that, out of that day-to-day execution role and into the more thought leadership role, is what I'm understanding the request to be to this point.
Okay. Of course, there are several already frameworks out there, BCG, McKinsey, others. And I think some of what we also looked at today are maybe examples, or they take some of the essence from these models. I would definitely look at because you talked about what different leaders are doing at different level. I would definitely look at the AI fluency model. So really get clear of what do you expect from each level in the organization, or what do you expect from different people to know and do with AI. So what I mean by that is who really needs to redesign the work. So who is responsible to think strategically again about how we serve our customers, what is our moat, in what way is it going to change, how our products are going to serve the customers. Because these people really need to understand well agentic AI and how to redesign workflows and the work itself with AI. So I would maybe use the AI fluency to map at what level people need to be in the organization. And then in terms of implementing change, clearly you can take the LLL model, right? What needs to be done by leadership? Who are the champions? Identify those champions. Make sure that they scale what works. And we know already from some case studies, as I mentioned, Citi, that's what made the biggest difference for them. What happens at the line level, with what tools people experiment. Of course, the question comes, what tool are you using? Are you giving everyone Gemini? Are you giving everyone Copilot? Are you using the corporate ChatGPT? So what is the container in which inside which people can actually experiment? And what are the tools that you are using? How are you talking about these changes? How are you talking about these experiments? So like, for example, making sure that in every all hands, people showcase their work and what actually has changed for the customer, for people. If we talk about people experience, we talk about customer experience. So I think it's a very classical change management, but you can certainly think about, again, the AI fluency model, and I will be sharing more information after that. The LLL model, absolutely. You can think about the iceberg, which actually also came from MIT, and I believe also BCG study of looking at every task, what needs to be completely automated by AI, what has to be augmented, what has to stay with humans. I think every one of these frameworks can help depending on your context and on the problem you're trying to solve. So it's less about what framework you are using. It's all about the execution of the framework. So whatever you choose, I think it's going to be fine if it works for you. But then comes, how are you executing? And this is where the biggest difference is going to be.
Thank you. Perfect. I thought so, but they wanted a model. They wanted me to name the.
Yeah, use you can take everything that we talked about today and more, and see what resonates.
Very good. Thank you.
And good luck with the snow.
Okay, we have one more question. Maybe time with Tal. I'm gonna give you permission to talk. If we'll hit the hour, then maybe the session will just close on us. So I apologize in advance if that will happen. Tal, go ahead.
Hi, how are you? I wanted to ask because I'm a change manager and we work a lot with Parsky, at the ATCAR, there's this big methodology of change management. And I was wondering if you have experience of utilizing Parsky with AI, because Parsky implementation is very long and a bit big, I would say, and AI is something that keeps changing. So do you have any experience with this methodology? Or are you familiar with someone who is trying it for now?
Sorry, Tal, can you repeat the methodology?
Parsky, so ATCAR methodology, awareness, desire. It's a change management methodology.
Okay. Yeah. Now I get it. So I'm not familiar specifically with someone using it for I see it now. Yeah, for someone using it for AI transformation. I'm more than happy to follow up with you just to see, like, like taking the elements of it, just to think together, if that would help, how it can be related to AI transformation. I can certainly also reach out to the different communities that I'm at to ask if anyone experienced working with it. Personally, myself, I haven't used it for AI transformations.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so I think we're actually out of time. We have the last 3 minutes, and as I said, when we hit the hour, everything is going to shut down on us. So I wanted to personally, first of all, say thank you so much, Shlomit. I can't believe it's been an hour. Like, it passed by so fast. That was so insightful and so interesting. And also to everyone here, sharing your questions and being so active and like talking to each other. It's really awesome. Sharing links, like it's really incredible. I promise we'll share not only the recording and summary, we'll share Shlomit's presentations, and also I can bring in everything you shared here in the chat, so you have everything set up there. I also recommend you guys to maybe put, like, if you want to share your LinkedIn profile link, whatever, to stay connected with each other. That's always a great thing to do and kind of leverage and use the stage. And thank you so much for taking your time in the middle of the day to join us and to learn with us and to ask questions, right? It's not taken for granted at all.
Great conversation. I learned a lot.
Yes, it was really insightful. And we have more of these to come. So I'll also share with you guys all of the rest of our events. And I really hope to see you there. And I can promise you we'll give more stage like this to Shlomit, so you'll see her again in the future. And thank you, everyone, so much.